Good morning, Floss Tube. It's Julie with Reflections Framing and Stitching. Today is Wednesday. It's the 13th of May, and I am back for Chart of the Day video number 30. How are you today? It's kind of cloudy and cool out there today. Supposed to rain later. We really need the rain. We're quite a bit under, so let it come. Where do I want to start? Let's start with yesterday's question of the day was regarding Ferris Bueller and high school. I was actually shocked to my core that most of you did not like high school. I kind of thought I was the only one. So it was nice to know I'm not alone in the fact that I hated high school. I hated everything about high school. So I'm glad I had company in that, although I would never have guessed it. I would have guessed that all of you were either fine with it or really enjoyed it. So there was a shocker. I had a couple people who were surprised or didn't know that I had gone to nursing school. I never finished. To be quite honest, going to nursing school was not really what I wanted to do. It was more what my mom wanted me to do. I wanted to be an interior designer. And she convinced me that I would just end up hanging curtains for JCPenney's, and that's not what I wanted to do. And then the second thing I wanted to be was a court reporter, and she convinced me that my typing skills were not good enough for that. Plus, it would have been out-of-state tuition, and I don't think my parents could have afforded that, and I didn't have any money. So, yeah, I did nursing school for I went a year to college to get all the basics out of the way, and then a half a year of nursing school, and then I dropped out and got a job and then married Dan. So no nursing for me. I'm not good nurse material. I kind of am a germaphobe. I think part of that is because I know this family has autoimmune issues. So it just kind of freaks me out to be around sick people. I'm sorry. I should be a better human, but I'm not. So I did get some bad news yesterday. So I need to ask for some prayers if you don't mind. I think it's all going to be fine. But Abby did get exposed to COVID while she was at work the other night. She's in quarantine. She moved out of their new house and back into the old house, which is right next door. But she's missing her baby, and she's got, she has 3 strikes against her. She's asthmatic, she's diabetic, and she's missing part of her immune system. So if she gets it, it's not going to be a pretty thing. So if you could just keep her in your prayers. She gets tested on Saturday, and hopefully it'll be fine. It was not a prolonged exposure. She was in the room for a much shorter time than the other 10 people who were exposed. But I still worry. I'm a mom. That's what we do. So if you could keep her in your prayers, I'd appreciate it. Moving on to the chart of today, I have chosen, I really, like you couldn't already tell, liked everything that Brenda Gervais designed for Market this year. It was all very, very beautiful stuff. And I have stitched, how many have I stitched? Well, I've done 2, I've finished one, I'm working on a second, and there's probably 2 more, this being one of them that I want to stitch. So sorry, I should look at the screen and not over my shoulder. This is Saltbox Quilt Sampler. And I pretty much like everything about this. I probably wouldn't put it on a box if it were me. It's cute in there, but I don't know, maybe I would. But I enjoy the whole thing. It's kind of, I love quilts. I used to quilt. I quilted for a short period of time. But I can't sew a straight line to save my soul, and in quilting it's kind of important. And then the, some of you know this story, but so back in the day when I did quilt, I figured out that the only way I could get somewhat straight seams and sharp points was to do paper piecing, where the pattern is printed on paper and you just sew on the lines that are already on the paper. It still wandered. I don't know how people get perfectly straight line, but I was never able to do that. It was closer with the paper piecing, but not good. So it was a lot of work for me. I loved playing with the colors of fabric and putting them together, but getting those straight lines and perfect points, I found to be very stressful. And so the last quilt that I ever made was a gift from my in-laws. It was a queen size quilt, beautiful, beautiful quilt. And I was paper piecing it, and I had my strips that I was doing, and I for safekeeping, to keep the dogs off of them, I slid them under the sofa. And forgot that I put them under the sofa and vacuumed. And so I sucked them all up, it sucked them up, wrapped them around the thing, killed the vacuum cleaner, killed the strips. I had to start over. And I'm not sure it was really appreciated for the amount of work that went into it. So that was the very last quilt I ever made. I love quilts. I love the fabric. I love the patterns. I love to see other people's work. Someday maybe I'll do it again. Although I did give away most of my stuff, so I don't know. People who keep showing their quilts on their floss tubes are killing me. So it may happen sometime in the future. But anyway, so I love, this is combining both cross stitch and quilting, and I really like it. Plus I like houses, which is why I chose it today. That, and I had all the floss for once. So it's not huge. 198 by 148. Calls for 40 count golden oats by Silk Weaver, which I have no clue what it looks like. So I just chose some colors that I particularly enjoyed with the color of floss, and I have to say I absolutely love the color palette. The colors are soft, the tones are pretty. I did have to substitute, it calls for endive, so this is Weeping Willow instead. And I didn't have any wood smoke. So those are the colors. Again, Golden Oats by Silk Weaver, I don't know what it looks like, so I'm just gonna guess here. And this is Sampler Gold. I think this is a color in cotton. I don't have a whole lot of it left, but I really, really like the colors on there. Now it is not showing up as gold as it is. This is a gold. This is probably the closest, but I really like the colors against that gold color. So that would work and look quite nice, I think. This is called Granite. It's a Zweigart fabric. It's a 36 count. The other was a 40, I think. This is 36, and it's a darker color, which I think all the floss colors look really nice on. It would give it an entirely different look, but I think it would be pretty. Let's see, Dirty. This is a 32 count dirty linen, which is a golden color. It's not, again, not showing up right, but it is a greeny gold color. But it would be nice. This is Vintage Sand Dune. It's a 32 count from Lakeside Linens. It's pretty close to that. But it's again a very golden color. So if you don't like yellowy gold, then that would not be for you. But that's really what I like the colors on. And this is Lakeside Linens. I think it's a 28 count. Vintage Meadow Rue 28 count. And I think it looks good on there too. So that's your chart of the day for today. I hope you like it. I don't think it would take a whole lot of time to stitch it. Granted, the houses are solid, but they're not huge. And then there's just the alphabet and the trees, which wouldn't take long. So again, Saltbox quilt sampler from With Thy Needle and Thread. I do like how she has it displayed. Which brings me, there was a comment on my, I think a couple of comments on my jewelry. I do like my earrings and my rings and my necklaces. Someone asked what the stone was on my ring yesterday. It's not a stone. It's a Swarovski crystal. Got the ring at Kohl's, and it's not an expensive thing. I usually buy them when they're 40% off and I have a coupon or something. So, yeah, I do like my jewelry. Today's jewelry Dan gave me for Christmas, so it's two-tone. It's got green, and basically the green melts into kind of a yellow and then into the pinky color. So, question of the day for today, and I actually remember what it is today. This past weekend, I was talking to the kids for Mother's Day and had asked them what they were going to do for their day or what they had been doing, depending on which kid I was talking to and what time of the day. But two of the three had both said they were going to clean out cars, or they should clean out their cars, or they had cleaned out their car. So it got me thinking, because my car needs to be cleaned out, are you a clean car freak or a messy car? Dan's car is embarrassing. It's usually piled up so high with stuff that just the driver can fit in it. I refuse to drive it anymore because it's such a pigsty. He always tries to blame it on the fact that he doesn't have an office and he's teaching and he has to have some place to put his stuff. And I've said, yeah, but you could put boxes for each of the classes that you teach in the back seat, and you get done with class, you put it in the appropriate box, and then it wouldn't stack up on your seat. But I'm not going to change the man, so it's his car. I put him on notice, and I told him, I said, if you ever need my car and leave me with your car, it damn well better be clean, because I'm not driving it the way it is. My car currently is a mess. I need to clean it. Dan had used it for a while. Never got it cleaned out. His dog has thrown up in it several times because she gets car sick. So it needs to be detailed. I mean, we cleaned it up at the time, but it was the middle of winter. And so you don't get it as clean. So it needs, the upholstery needs cleaning. It needs a good cleaning. Amy said her car somewhat resembled her father's car, which she was embarrassed about. So she was talking about getting hers cleaned. Apparently she was going to have a passenger, so she'd gathered everything up, which sounded mostly like it was trash. Had gathered everything up and thrown it into a bag and thrown it in the trunk of her car, and then it has stayed there and has broken out of the bag and has spread all over her trunk. So she was talking about having to go out and clean that up. And I'm like, well, if you had gathered it all up in a bag, why didn't you just grab the bag and put it in a dumpster? But I don't know. So anyway, that's my question. Are you a clean car person or a dirty car person? I'm probably a middle kind of. I like it clean. I love it when it's clean. It just doesn't stay that way, especially when you're carrying the dogs around. They jump in it with muddy paws. The one vomits all over the place. Trash-wise, it's usually not too bad, but it's not clean and vacuumed. And it's right now there's a lot of grit and sand and gravel from the winter time. So there's my question. Clean car, dirty car. Which are you? With that, I'm going to call it a day. Someone is texting me. It's probably Abby. She's really missing her baby. I just kind of knew it was going to happen when she went back to work. So, didn't take long, only a week. Yeah, I don't know that I know anything else. So, have a great day. Get some stitching done. And should see you tomorrow morning. Take care.